Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to, cut through the noise and get right to those insights that help you level up. Today, we're tackling something really fundamental. It's often overlooked, actually. The power of our words. And I don't just mean what we say out loud, to other people. I mean that inner voice, that constant chat we have with ourselves. Because honestly, those scripts, they shape everything. Our beliefs, our actions, they pretty much carve out our whole path. So our deep dive today is looking at this really eye-opening article. It's called The Silent Killers of Success, Phrases That Turn Winners into Losers. Mm-hmm. And it basically lays out these everyday phrases, stuff we've all said. They sound harmless, right? Maybe even a bit comforting sometimes. But the article argues they can quietly just erode our ambition. They can actually hardwire our brains for weakness.
Yeah, and what's so critical for you, the listener, to get here is that most people, they don't actually fail because they lack talent or resources or even smarts. More often than not, it's because they've kind of unknowingly adopted this. Well, the article calls it the language of defeat.
Yeah.
These aren't just words floating around. They become these invisible chains. So our mission today for you is to shine a big spotlight on these phrases, help you recognize them, and then, crucially, help you kick them out of your internal dialogue. For good.
All right, then. Let's peel back the layers on this. Get ready. This might shift some things you thought were solid. Okay, first one up. This is probably the most universal delay tactic out there. I'll start on Monday.
It's like the anthem of procrastination, isn't it? What's the psychology here, according to the article? What's our brain doing? Exactly. It's classic, and it's not just casual. It's a cognitive bias. Psychologists call it the planning fallacy. Our brains are really good at painting this rosy picture of, magical Monday or perfect next week, a time when everything aligns. We'll have tons of energy, no distractions. We focus on this idealized future moment, and we totally ignore all the times in the past when that perfect moment just didn't happen. It's a kind of optimism bias. We underestimate the effort needed, and we really underestimate the power of just starting now. The article is blunt. It says, later is the most dangerous word in the English language. Believing in that perfect future, it just keeps us stuck.
It's almost like our brain trying to shield us from the discomfort of starting now, pushing it off. But the examples in the article really hit home, like Elon Musk didn't wait for New Year's for Tesla. Serena Williams isn't waiting till Monday to practice after a tough match. These people just start. Why do you think this later thing is so ingrained, and how do winners bypass it?
You nailed it, the immediate discomfort. Our brains are fundamentally wired for efficiency, and that often means avoiding effort or perceived pain right now. So Magical Monday offers this psychological escape hatch, a promise that we'll feel better, be more ready, have more time then. But winners, they know then is mostly a fantasy. They operate from radical present action. They've trained themselves to link, starting with progress, not just pain. It's building that bias for action.
Okay, so if you're ready to ditch the delay and get some momentum, the antidote they suggest for I'll start on Monday is simple but powerful. I'll start now. All right, moving on from putting things off, let's hit another really common but pretty sneaky habit, deflecting responsibility. That phrase, it's not my fault. There's a kind of comfort in saying that, isn't there? Pointing the finger elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge psychological comfort. It momentarily lifts the weight of accountability. But here's where the article drops a really profound, maybe even shocking truth. It says, okay, blame feels good because it removes immediate guilt. But get this, even if something truly isn't your fault, it is still your responsibility to deal with the aftermath. The analogy they use is powerful. Imagine, God forbid, you're hit by a drunk driver. Clearly not your fault, you did nothing wrong, but it is your responsibility to heal, to handle the insurance, the legal stuff, to rebuild, to move forward. If you just stay stuck on it wasn't my fault, you're trapped. Trapped in bitterness, anger, inaction, basically.
Wow, that's a huge distinction, fault versus responsibility. It flips the focus from outside causes to our own control. But let's be real, it can feel easier sometimes to just blame, right, to dwell on the unfairness. What's the actual cost of doing that?
Yeah, the cost. It's your power. Simple as that. When you blame, you're essentially handing over control of your emotions, your future actions. You give it all to whatever circumstance or person you're blaming. You become a victim, not an agent of change, but taking ownership, even for stuff you didn't cause. That's reclaiming your power. It's saying, okay, this happened. Now I decide how I respond. That's what lets you act, change, and ultimately grow.
So it's not just a small tweak in thinking. It's fundamentally taking back your agency, moving from that easy, it's not my fault, to the much stronger, it's my responsibility.
Exactly.
Okay, let's tackle maybe the most insidious one, a phrase that I think holds millions back, even though our brains are incredibly adaptable. I can't do it.
What does the article say about how these four little words actually mess with our potential? Right. This is where the neuroscience piece is just fascinating. The article brings up that famous Henry Ford quote, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Right?
Yeah.
And brain science backs this up. When you use negative self-talk, especially "I can't," you light up the fear circuits, primarily in the amygdala. This kicks off a physical fight-or-flight response. And what does that do? It literally pulls blood flow and energy away from your prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of your brain you need for planning, rational thought, creative problem solving, all the executive functions. So you don't just feel unable. Your brain is physically putting up roadblocks, making it genuinely harder to find solutions. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy on a neurobiological level.
Wow. So it's not just about confidence. It's like you're actively shutting down the part of your brain that could solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's like your own internal system just gives up before you start. The article makes that contrast clear, right? Losers see walls, winners see puzzles. How does knowing this brain stuff help us fight it?
Precisely. It makes mindset tangible, not just some fluffy concept. Knowing that saying "I can't" actually constricts your thinking power, that's hugely motivating to change it. And the brain is plastic, right? It can rewire. So by consciously choosing different words, by saying "I'll find a way," you're not just being optimistic. You're actively engaging that prefrontal cortex. You're telling those problem-solving circuits to fire up. You're physically training your brain to look for solutions, to see puzzles instead of walls.
That's really powerful. It turns positive thinking into a practical brain intervention. So when you hear that "I can't do it" whispering, the power move is to switch the script. I'll find a way.
You got it.
Next up, a classic complaint. As old as time, it's not fair. We've all felt that sting, haven't we? Life often isn't fair. But what's the article's take on this?
Yeah, fairness was never part of the deal, unfortunately. But the article offers this really compelling, maybe even shocking twist. It suggests that unfairness, it's often the birthplace of greatness. It's not a reason to quit, it's a catalyst. Think about the examples. Oprah Winfrey, born into deep poverty, faced incredible hardship. She didn't let unfairness dictate her life. Albert Einstein, labeled a slow learner, he turned that different way of thinking into genius. Stephen Hawking, losing control of his body. That profound unfairness didn't silence his mind. All of them. They took life's injustices and turned them into fuel, into drive, into proof they could overcome.
Like a powerful reframing. But I can hear some listeners thinking, okay, easy to say life is tough, but so am I when you haven't faced, real systemic barriers or deep personal tragedy.
Yeah.
How did the article handle that reality of genuine unfairness?
That's a really crucial point. And the article isn't saying ignore hardship or pretend systemic issues don't exist. Not at all. It's about acknowledging the reality, whether it's deeply unfair or just plain difficult. And then choosing your response. It's that shift from being a passive victim of unfairness to being an active agent in your own story. See, complaining about fairness often just keeps you stuck, frustrated, bitter, but channeling that energy, that fire, into doing something productive, that's what separates people. It's about using the very source of the pain as the spark for your greatest growth.
A truly deep shift in perspective there. So instead of getting bogged down by the injustice, you use it, you transform it. The powerful counter then to "it's not fair" becomes "life is tough, but so am I."
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack what might just be the most common white lie on earth. "I don't have time." This one's a master of disguise. When you really look at it, what does it actually mean?
Oh, it's the ultimate disguise. Because it sounds so reasonable. We're all busy. But here's the thing. The article hammers home. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. Billionaires, presidents, stay-at-home parents, everyone. Same clock. So when someone says, "I don't have time," what they're usually saying, even if they don't realize it, is, "This isn't important enough to me right now." And there's this statistic in the source that just jumps out.
Yeah.
The average person spends between 2 and 4 hours every single day. On social media and TV, you add that up over a lifetime, it's almost 10 years. Wasted.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's enough time to get a PhD or, I don't know, finally organize all my digital photos from 2005. So beyond just changing the words, does the article give any practical tips for finding those lost hours or actually making time?
Laughs. Yeah, the photo struggle is real. It does offer practical steps. First, and this is harder than it sounds for many, an honest time audit. Just track your hours for a week. Where does the time actually go? You'll probably be surprised by the unconscious time sinks. Then, the article stresses that winners don't find time. They make time. How? By ruthlessly prioritizing. That means setting clear boundaries, saying no more often, understanding the opportunity cost every hour scrolling is an hour not spent on your goals. It's about being intentional with our most valuable non-renewable resource.
That completely reframes it. Time isn't something we lack, it's something we allocate or misallocate. So the powerful reframe for I don't have time is simply, I'll make time.
That's the one.
Okay, next phrase. This one feels particularly relevant today. I'm offended. The article calls constant offense a luxury of the weak. That's pretty direct. What's the thinking there?
It is direct. And it's meant to make you think, look, the article isn't saying we should tolerate abuse or be insensitive, not at all. What it's doing is linking greatness with resilience, not fragility. Think about history's game changers. Jesus offended the religious leaders of his day. Gandhi offended the British Empire. Steve Jobs offended, well, pretty much entire industries by thinking differently. If they'd back down every time someone took offense, where would we be? The core idea is, when you say I'm offended, you're often, maybe unconsciously, giving external words or opinions power over your internal state. You're letting them control you. Winners reclaim that power. They choose their response. They don't let minor slights or disagreements derail them.
That's a key distinction. Building resilience, focusing on purpose, not getting sidetracked by every little criticism. But I guess the question is, where's the line? When does choosing resilience become, just accepting disrespect or ignoring feedback that actually is valid, even if it stings?
Excellent question. And the article is clear. This isn't about being a doormat or ignoring real harm or constructive criticism. Those things need attention. It's about learning to distinguish. Distinguish between genuine injustice that requires action and mere discomfort, disagreement, or even intentional provocation that doesn't. The resilience it talks about is that ability to keep your cool, keep your focus, stay on mission, even when people disagree or try to rattle you. It's self-mastery, choosing not to let outside noise control your inner peace or your path. It's a form of self-sovereignty, really.
Got it. Reclaiming your emotional driver's seat. So for I'm offended, the replacement is about inner strength. I choose resilience.
Precisely.
All right, let's talk about he got lucky. Oh, man, this is such a common reaction, isn't it? Seeing someone succeed and just chalking it up to chance.
Incredibly common, and it serves a neat psychological trick. It lets us off the hook. If it was just luck, well, then we don't need to put in the same ground, right? Now, luck exists, sure. The article acknowledges that, but it adds that crucial qualifier. Luck favors the prepared. It's not random lightning. It uses that great Thomas Edison example. The 10,000 attempts for the light bulb. When people talked about failure, he didn't say he was unlucky. He said, I have not failed. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. His luck was persistence, curiosity, relentless preparation. What's really fascinating is how dismissing someone else's success as luck is often just a subtle way to justify our own inaction, our own lack of results. It lets us ignore the discipline, the sweat, the sacrifice, the resilience, all the often invisible stuff that goes into big achievements. Real luck most of the time. It's preparation meeting opportunity. And having the guts and insight to grab that opportunity.
That really forces you to look deeper, doesn't it? There's usually so much more than just chance involved, especially with sustained success. So if we start dismissing and start learning, what's a proactive alternative?
It's a total mindset flip. Instead of letting envy or excuses take over, you get curious. You see their success as a potential roadmap, not a reason to feel bad. So instead of he got lucky, the power phrase is they prepared. I'll prepare too.
Okay, our second to last phrase. One that hits close to home for nearly everyone. I'm too tired. Fatigue is real, no doubt. But the article pushes back. Are you really too tired? Or are you maybe just unmotivated? Uninspired, perhaps?
Right. And this is where the article brings in some surprising stuff about our bodies and minds. It explains that, fundamentally, the human body is built for survival. It has incredible reserves, and when your mind is genuinely lit up with purpose, energy often follows that purpose. It's not always the prerequisite we think it is. Think about soldiers in combat, mothers protecting kids, entrepreneurs pouring everything into a startup. They find energy or reserves they didn't know they had because the why is so strong. And research actually shows that things like consistent exercise, mental discipline, and having that strong sense of purpose can generate more sustainable energy than just resting passively. Movement creates momentum, both physically and mentally.
So wow, energy isn't just a finite resource we burn through. It's something we can actually create through our mindset, our actions, our vision. What are some practical ways the article suggests tapping into that when too tired hits?
It's about recognizing that initial wave of fatigue is often just mental resistance, not true physical depletion. The article suggests focusing on tiny, immediate steps. Feel too tired for a full workout. Okay, do 5 push-ups. Now, too tired to write that chapter. Write 1 sentence. That little spark of action, especially when tied to your why, often shifts your whole state. Releases endorphins, wakes up your brain, actually generates more energy. It's about building a positive feedback loop. Purpose drives action. Action creates energy. Energy fuels more purpose. It shows our energy is way more in our control than we usually believe.
That's a huge shift from passive victim of fatigue to active creator of energy. So when I'm too tired tries to take over, the article says push back with, I'll create energy through action.
That's it.
And finally, the phrase the article flags as potentially the most toxic, because it just slams the door on learning and breeds resentment. Easy for you to say. Why is this one considered so damaging?
It's so damaging because it comes from a place of deep insecurity and basically a refusal to learn. When you say easy for you to say, you're dismissing whatever wisdom or advice or achievement someone's sharing. You're making an instant assumption. Their path must have been easier, simpler, less challenging, more privileged. But the reality is, nobody's life is truly easy. Every single successful person has scars you don't see, battles fought, failures overcome. So using that phrase, you're choosing envy over growth. You're choosing resentment over learning. You're building this wall around yourself that stopped you from learning from someone who's actually figured something out. It's a total block on your own progress, imposed by you.
It really is a wall, isn't it? Instead of connection and learning, it just creates bitterness, isolation. The article contrasts this powerfully with how winners tend to react. Instead of dismissing, they lean in. They think, okay, if they did it, maybe I can too. So what's the empowering reframe? How do we flip this toxic dismissal?
It's a complete 180, from being defensive to being open, humble even, recognizing there's always something valuable to learn from others, no matter who they are or what you think their journey was like. So the ultimate antidote to that dismissive, easy for you to say, is actually a really open, powerful question. Teach me how you did it.
Okay. Now here's what the article calls the hidden danger. This is crucial. These phrases, they don't just stay words, repeat them day in, day out, and they start to become who you are, your identity.
And neuroscience backs this up completely. Self-talk isn't just fluff. It physically rewires your brain. Every time you repeat a thought, positive or negative, you strengthen those neural pathways. It's like paving a road in your mind. The more you use it, the easier it is to travel. So the more you say, I can't, the deeper those fear circuits get, the harder it actually becomes for your brain to even see solutions. The more you say, I'll start later, the weaker your brain's ability to initiate action becomes. Period. It means that losers, in the context of the article, are literally built by repeating weak language, just like winners are built by consistently using the language of strength, of responsibility, of action. Your inner dialogue is constantly sculpting the architecture of who you're becoming right now.
Felt kind of chilling, but also really empowering, right? Knowing we can change the architect. And that brings us to the final shock in the article, the bottom line. The world.
Yeah.
It doesn't really care about your excuses. It rewards results. It celebrates the person who acted, not the one who complained about why they couldn't. Wow. Okay, what a deep dive to how the words we choose literally build our reality. We've unpacked some of the sneakiest silent killer phrases and hopefully armed you with some powerful proactive replacements. Now, the real work begins. For you, start actively catching yourself. Notice when these phrases pop into your head or out of your mouth.
Yeah. And when you catch them, ask yourself this really potent question. Do I want to stay stuck here, a prisoner of these excuses, stuck in the language of defeat? Or do I want to rise? Do I want to literally rewire my brain for action, for ownership, for resilience? Because the language you use is not just habit, it's a choice, a powerful one you make constantly.
That's right. Make that choice every day. Choose the language of strength, discipline, responsibility, resilience, and then just watch. Observe how, over time, as you consistently practice these shifts, your life will start to shift too. It'll begin to bend in your favor. It's not magic. It's practical. It's neurobiological. Thanks for joining us for this really crucial deep dive. Until next time, keep challenging those internal scripts.